Okay, I've got 6 o'clock. Are you all ready, Miss Maragoni? All right. All right. We'd like to call to order our Riverdale City Council meeting for Tuesday, February 20th, 2024. Please let the record show that all City Council members are present, with Councilor Hanson joining via telephone. We also have members of the city staff as well as the public with us tonight. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be by Councilor Hawes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Hawes. We've asked Councilor Arnold to offer our invocation tonight.
Our Father in heaven, as we bow our heads this night, as we start this meeting, we invite thy Spirit to be with us. We ask that thou would guide us and direct us, that we might be able to build a city that would be pleasing in thy eyes, that we can have a land that would be something that thou would be proud of. We're thankful for those that serve this city, both in employment, volunteers, and through the Council and Planning Commission. We ask that you bless each one of them with an extra measure of thy Spirit, that they would be able to see the vision that we try to accomplish, and that we might be instruments in thy hands. Again, we always ask for a blessing upon our first responders and those in the public safety field, that they'll be free from harm or accident, that their families will be safe as well as they're away protecting us. Know of our love for them and appreciate the things they do for us. We're grateful for all that thou hast given us, and again we ask that thou would make us instruments in thy hands, and I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilor Arnold. We'll now have a time for public comment. This is an opportunity to address the City Council regarding your concerns or ideas. No action will be taken during the public comment. Please try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to presentations and reports. We'll begin with the mayor's report. I might just have a couple of things. One thing is there was a news story about a House Bill 442 that came out Thursday this last week, and I kind of started reading about it. And it was talking about some rural cities in southern Utah being allowed to charge a local option sales tax to fund their emergency services. And I thought, oh, this is awesome. This is just what we wanted, So I started emailing. I emailed the bill sponsor. I emailed the league. I emailed Katie Hall, which is kind of interesting because hers makes you put in your address, and I don't actually live in her area. And so I kind of got denied. So I had her text phone number, but I'd gotten rejected by some other things before I got with that route. Anyway, who else did I email? I emailed, what's that? Annie? I think I did. I did email Senator Milner. I didn't hear back from her. I was emailing everybody I could think of because I just thought this was the greatest thing ever. I emailed the bill sponsor. I emailed the senator. I emailed the mayor of Ivins, who he was quoted in the article and stuff. And anyways, it started to come back in. It just said, this isn't going to work for you guys. It's an older bill, and they're just tweaking it a little bit. And I got a really sad response from the league late Friday night that I'll forward on to you guys so you can see. They said they're never going to change the tax thing. In fact, they want to change it the other direction if they do anything. Anyway, it's really disappointing. So I'll forward it on to all of you so we can talk about it in our strategic planning. But it was kind of disheartening. Anyway. Sean Douglas from Public Works was telling me an interesting story, and I just want to pass it on to you guys. So we had a water line break under I-84 last year, or 2 years ago. We had to do an emergency repair, all this stuff. Well, they're replacing that line right now. And he was just telling me the story of what they're doing, and they're drilling down. I think they're replacing a 10-inch line with a 12-inch, if I remember. Anyway, they drilled like 400 feet, which is far. They went under the river. He said they went 15 feet under the river, which is pretty deep, and came back up a little more shallow. And they're doing it remotely and stuff and all this, and they needed to pop up, and they popped up right between the two lanes of the freeway, which is right where they wanted to be. But it was just pretty amazing. I mean, you think about replacing a water line 50 years ago. There have been guys out there with a backhoe digging up the freeway, and anyway, it's pretty amazing that they're able to. And then they just drag the new 10-inch line behind it, and I mean, it's
So they
amazing.
just abandoned the old one?
I think so. Yeah, I think they might have pulled it out as much as they could. Or that's a good question. I'd have to ask. I don't know. But if you go on 84, you'll see kind of a setup of some construction type stuff. And I just happened to notice it this weekend. I was like, oh, that's the guys right there. So pretty crazy that they start like somewhere out by the golf course and just drilled all that way. Last thing I had, we've talked to you a little bit about the 4,400 bridges over I-15 and stuff, and how UDOT wanted us to pay a bunch of money for those two to make them wider, and they redid the estimates on that, and they went from like 7 million down to 1.5 million. Did I read that right?
It wasn't that far, but they did come down from where they were at.
A lot easier to stomach.
We'll be bringing in a gal an economist lady from the county. Stephanie's going to come in here probably in our next meeting and explain some of the other funding options that we can look at, or America First can look at, to kind of help on some of that stuff. So,
Yeah. We still don't want to pay for that, but at least if America First, or we have to do
Is that a bonded? When you say funding options, are you talking bonding?
well, there's different things now, and there's one that they're pushing really hard on us, and that was the one we were going to do in a meeting about a month ago, and I wanted to hold off, mainly because I'm not an expert in it, and we wanted to get her here. But it's not really a bond. It's almost like a private RDA. And so America First, where they're a lending institution, can almost fund it themselves, and they recoup some of that money based upon the increase in property assessments, and they can kind of pay themselves back, which I've indicated to them that if we go that route, because the city has to sponsor it before they can even get started, so they need our help as well. We've got to include 4,400 down below, besides just for the bridges and stuff, any improvements that we're going to be forced to do, like the sewer, and if we have to widen anything, that again shouldn't be on our burden. And the nice thing about that is that it doesn't fall on, it's not a bond where it falls onto the responsibility of the taxpayers. It's just for project specific, and the developer basically funds it and pays themselves back in essence. So it's a little bit different, something that we've never done here in Riverdale, but it'll be an interesting option. So we'll have her come and explain that a little bit better to you. I think you'll kind of like it, because like I said, it doesn't put us on the hook. And so all we have to do is say, yeah, we got to do this. And then there's some parameters. We have to come up with all these policies and stuff like that. But, and we still haven't ruled out the going back into on the RDA as well. Which we may do that one is in conjunction with this, because we got positive feedback from the county on that they would be willing to work with us on that one too. And that's more in line with the southern end of that project, but it still would increase some funding there for potential purchases of more land and even Motel 6 if we could get something like that. So those will all be options, but we'll present everything to you, and then you guys can decide on how you want us to go about doing that. But we're looking at everything right now.
Okay. Item number 2, report from the Bonneville High School seniors. I do not see them here. So we'll move on to item number 3, UDOT 5600 South project update. Come on up to the microphone.
I'm just going to plug in, if that's okay. Thank you for having us, Mayor, council members, city staff, public. Thank you for having us. My name is Brandy McDonald. I'm part of the public involvement team. This is Elmer Acevedo Garcia. He's also part of our public communications team. We're happy to be here and give an update and answer any questions that you have for us. Just a quick update on our project schedule. We are in phase 2 of the project. We do have our next big thing is coming this weekend. We have an overnight road closure happening at 5600 South in the I-15 northbound interchange area. It's overnight, so hopefully not too many impacts for the traveling public. We have done some coordination with the Hill Air Force Base, Northrop Grumman, those businesses right along Freeway Park Drive. And we've also created some flyers. We'll leave a few takeaways. Actually, I'll probably hand these around right now. And we'll be doing some canvassing tomorrow and get any questions from the businesses. But a lot of those businesses close around 5 p.m. We won't be starting that work till 7 p.m. And going through 5 a.m. Just some other updates. So that we're setting a bridge girder this all weekend. So February 23rd through the 27th. And like I said, it's going to be night work. We've done a lot of coordination with adjacent stakeholders. We do have a lot of moving parts on this project. On Freeway Park Drive, we have a lot of utility work going on. One-way flaggers. We have done some detour routes to Ritter 1500 West, just to get some installation for Dominion Energy coming in, any fiber optics, any wet utilities. We've been doing a lot of underground work right through there. We're maintaining business access at all times, and the businesses seem to be pretty happy about that. There is options to close those driveways, but we want to keep those businesses open and thriving. They are destination businesses, and we're very aware of that, so we want to keep them thriving. Additional work along 5600 South is a lot of utility and storm drain work happening on the south side. We have intermittent closures that are working their way up from the Maverick all the way up on the south side. We're about Chateau apartments, Chateau condos right now. And we're coordinating with those folks intermittently through canvassing efforts and those types of updates. So some touch points that we do with the public is email campaigns. We do website updates, canvassing, a lot of one-on-one flyering, knocking on doors, answering questions. Social media, we do a lot of one-on-one stakeholder meetings. We meet with community leadership monthly, give them updates, and we want to know what the community is saying, what they're hearing, what's something that we can change. Emergency service meetings. We recently did a school safety assembly, some planning. We did a career fair at Roy Junior High to some STEM opportunities, talked to a lot of 7th graders about how many career fields touch this project. Anywhere from a truck driver to an attorney to a technical writer to there's so many career fields. So that was kind of a fun opportunity to get out in the community and do that. We kind of have this graphic that you see on the screen. We did this at the end of 2023 in an email campaign. We thought it would be fun to compare something that the public can relate to, like how much dirt did we move in 2023. So we compared it to 22 Olympic-sized swimming pools of dirt that we excavated throughout the project. So just some fun facts, and we'll continue to do that and tie in some educational pieces to our email campaigns so the public can just stay engaged and see what we're doing. We've talked to Riverdale City about, it sounds like there's been some confusion on when folks are exiting Riverdale Road, and we've taken that into account. UDOT's going to place some signs and make some adjustments when you get on the off-ramp. And we also wanted to do a graphic that you can share with the public so they can plan ahead to which lane do I need to be in. So we think this would be very helpful. And this is something that I can send over to Chris Stone. That's a graphic that he can get out to the public. Do you have any questions for us?
Councilor Arnold?
I deal with this every day, going to and from work, and I think it's been great. Other than the first time that I had to go to 31st Street.
Oh, you missed it and you had to go to 31st, but you
that-
only
that
missed it
was the
once,
first time.
right?
I lived and learned, and it's been nice. It hasn't been bad at all. So
Good. I'm
That's
happy to hear
nice.
that. Good.
I appreciate the lane guidance. I mean, that's the hardest part, is because you're in the wrong lane, you've got to hurry and get over, it's already packed. So this
Right.
graphic, I think is very helpful. I've seen
Good.
challenges there, so.
I'm happy
Yeah.
to hear that.
My first time I made a right, I ended up making a right-hand turn and going up to
To the
Hill Air
base?
Force Base, so.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you get
any,
stuck
and
right
I
there.
don't, do you know what they're planning? Are they going to do emblems on the road? Are they just going to do some signage a little further back on that off ramp? Or
They're going to take, there's an existing sign. It's like a lane designation sign. It's a white and black sign when you get off the exit. They're going to pull that up more north. So when you get off, you can see it and it's more clear. But we've driven it and we want to make sure there's overhead signage added just so drivers are aware and they know where to go.
Yeah.
I think the people that live in this area know where they're going.
Yeah.
The people that are visiting aren't quite sure. And so we want to be extra clear of what we're doing. So.
yeah, I think it's been good as well too, but the only thing is that those 5 lanes coming down, if you are in the wrong one when you get to the bottom, there's no changing. And so
Sure.
you can end up, going to Roy or 31st or wherever. So any advanced signage you can get on that. And the graphics are great for our newsletter or websites, all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think people even pay that close of attention until they're driving,
Oh, they're right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you got to be in that middle lane if you're trying to get to Riverdale Road. So.
I picked my daughter up from the airport. She lives in California, and as we were coming in, we were just talking about stuff, and I'm like, well, pay attention. This has changed, so when you're coming in here, be ready. This is what, and she was like,
Was she in the
"Whoa."
driver's seat?
Oh, it was good. It was all.
Good. I'm glad. And I think the next big thing that we'll have, we'll come back in the spring and we'll talk about a traffic shift that's coming. And then we'll be opening up a new RCD road that we're building that you see out there. That'll be open this summer. And we'll talk about how to navigate that new road in your community. For the drivers, we're creating some really great visualization graphics that will pair well with that and help tell that story to drivers. So we're pretty excited about it. If you would like to sign up for updates, we do send out weekly updates. You can scan that QR code on the screen and we'll capture your information, but we send out weekly updates, weekly, bi-weekly, depending on what's going on or what the impacts are and what's coming. So.
Michelle, can you make sure you have that so that we could maybe put it back onto the, put it out on Facebook and then drag it over to the citizens page or something?
Yes.
Or that whole graphic is good with the phone numbers. I mean,
For sure.
all of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Yep. Any other questions, comments?
No, I think you guys are doing really well. Thanks.
Thank you. We're happy to be here. Thank you for your time.
Okay. We'll now move on to the city administration report. Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Mayor. All of the department heads' monthly reports are in your packet. Do you have any questions on any of those? I probably couldn't answer them unless it was mine, but I would certainly try. So,
Turning into Mike Agate. He's a little more detailed than,
me?
no, Casey. There's a
Oh, Casey.
little more detailed than,
We
his name, Chief, no.
we did this the new member orientation this week, and I had threatened Casey to keep that as short as possible, but we actually got started late, so everybody was blaming him for going over, but it wasn't Casey's fault, but we still had fun with it, so it was good. I think it turned
I
out
have a
well.
question. On the sales tax, is there a split between the regular and the extra, or does it all just come together?
I think it's
and-
all together. One thing I was going to mention, are you talking about the one chart that we have in here, or just in general?
Yeah, just looking at that, I was wondering if you could split out the standard and the
Local option.
local option.
I'm sure we can.
Yeah, because Cody has done that for me a little bit before, and that'd be a great topic. We're going to talk about that in that
That was-
strategic planning a little bit.
That was one of the handouts that you gave when we came over. Showed just the
The
local
difference on
option
those?
part.
Yeah. No, I think for these purposes, he lumps that into one. The one encouraging thing on this, if you look at those numbers, is we were up last month or this reporting month compared to last year, which is a good sign. So, because up until then, we were a little bit nervous because they weren't showing all that much. So hopefully, with the combination of Christmas and everything, that our year might not be as bad as we were thinking it could be. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, and it looks like people are spending money. At least they did for this reporting month. So that was the one thing I was going to say about that. So thanks for bringing that up, Stacy. At the end of mine, you'll notice I included the letter that came from Jim Peters, who's the director of the court, our municipal courts. We did get recertified back in January. Just like everything else, they've tacked on a bunch of new state requirements that we got to do to get our clerks all up to speed, but they gave us some time for that. That's new. That wasn't something that was in there, but our court has been recertified, so we passed all those things. As far as our employee recognitions, we don't have anybody on their anniversary date, but Officer Mike McNeely has passed his 6 years. And then, as was mentioned earlier, Officer Shears and Officer Zog have both passed a year. I just can't believe how fast that time goes, man. It seems like we just hired those guys. Same thing with Mike, though. That seems strange that he's been here for 6 years. So, and they are phenomenal officers. The reports I get back, they're just excellent. So good pickups there. It's the staffing authorization plan is included in there. I'll just give you a couple of updates on that. We did hire our new court clerk, Sonia. I don't remember what her last name was, but we stole her from Pleasant View, and she's been excellent. She was out there, and she didn't just do court stuff. She did all kinds of stuff. So the very first day that she was working, I came down to meet her, and she was working at the front desk on a court day and just going to town like she didn't even skip a beat. So that's been really nice. We haven't even had to train her. She was already doing the same stuff just for another city and a lot more. So she's loving it here. She's been really good. So we've been excited about that. We're in the process of filling Mike's position. That's been open now a couple of weeks. We have, I don't know what we've got, probably around 8. I was hoping to maybe get to 10, or, where we had a few with more planning kind of backgrounds and stuff, but they're trickling in. But I'm hoping by the end of this week we'll be able to close that up and interview. So I'll let you know on that, Mayor, when we're ready to go on that. But we've had some good applicants. It'll be interesting to see what we end up with here at the end. So it'll be nice to get him on board, because right now Michelle and I are covering all that stuff. The meeting we were in this afternoon would have been one that he would normally go to and not us. So, as far as community development goes, Mike had put both his written report and the one that he does with the little icons in there. As a reminder, we do have a grand opening on the 20th, just to put that on your count. 26th, I can't read my own writing, at 10 o'clock, and that's at Bricks and Minifigs. And so we won't have another meeting before then, so make sure if you want to come to that. And again, for the newer members, you don't have to come to them. We encourage you to, and we'd like you to. We'd love to. We'll take some pictures and all that kind of stuff. So, and as far as some of the other ones, Napa did open up too as well. They haven't done a grand opening. They're going to, but they just did kind of their own opening. But they did tell us that they wanted to do one. We just haven't gotten word back from them when they want to do that. So they are open. All those other ones that are on that continue to move forward. They're all looking good. Chuck E. Cheese has made some good progress. That's going to happen. Ashley's, again, all of the ones that we've had on our list for a while, they're still moving forward. I don't think there's any of them that have pulled off. So hopefully, a lot of that's been weather related too.
Can you name who's going in next to Ashley's in the Shopko building?
We still don't know about that one. That's one we've heard some rumors on and different things, but we don't know. They haven't said anything to us. So, other than that, I think that's about all I had, Mayor. Any questions for me on that?
Did we get the confusion about a business license that we talked about last time? Okay.
And they had one at that point, right? Yeah. Okay, just to clarify. Okay, very good. Thanks, Mr. Yeah.
We've also, just as an FYI, mainly for Alan, Joe up there on the corner, we finally got some movement on that one too. He did get his conditional use. We've still got a ways to go with that, but we're at least getting some movement on it.
What are they going to do? They rezone that thing to R16, the whole thing.
Right. I don't know. He hasn't really given us any information on that. At one point in time, I think he wanted to move into that house, the old Tolis house. But our bigger issues are more on the lot, because we'd kind of put a red tag on that because that wall hadn't been engineered, and that drainage wasn't done correctly. And so we said, until you get that done, well, you can't do anything there. So it's kind of where we've been at. But we had a meeting with him, got a little bit heated and entertaining, if nothing else. But he came in the next day with his conditional use permit, and he does have that. So we are moving forward. We expressed our concerns, said we wanted it cleaned up, we wanted to move forward and get you in business, but you got to do it right. We can't just ignore it. So I just wanted you to know that we have been staying on top of that.
Nothing on the other 3 acres?
I don't know what he's going to do, to be honest with you. I really don't.
He bought the whole thing?
He bought the 5 acres?
Did he buy the whole? I don't know.
Yeah, he bought the Yates, not the whole piece. He bought the Yates
Just the
piece.
Yates, but
Yeah.
he didn't buy the and the
No,
Barlow's.
no, but I don't think they can really make that project work unless they had all that, and that's how that was approved. So I don't know what they're going to do, to be honest with you. We did express our concerns about, that staging area there at the house. First of all, we wanted the house cleaned up. We don't want all that mud and stuff tracking out on the road, and he said he'd be working on that. So we'll stay on top of it.
That part's great. They've been doing a good job on that one. What's with the asphalt? Is it the Questar or that's doing the line down Ritter, and
Oh, there was
they
a
got the
gas line.
sidewalk, and then they've been
Yeah.
putting asphalt in it.
Yeah, and they're the ones that are staging up on top.
Done that. I mean, that was terrible. They're just big,
Hopefully it's not permanent.
yeah, big lumps in the.
Yeah, I don't think it is. It's just a temporary thing until the weather is a little bit more conducive to that kind of stuff. So
Okay, very good. All right, we don't have any consent items for tonight, so we'll move on to section G, action items. Number 1, consideration of resolution 2024-03, adopting a consumer protection privacy policy. Mr. Brooks.
as I expressed in the planning meeting there, indicated this was a law that was passed last year by the state legislature, and it requires all business entities, which includes cities and counties and whatnot, to adopt a Consumer Privacy Act, which just kind of outlines what customers' rights are in regards to their personal information. And so that's what this is to try and comply with that. We have to pass this by I think it was April 1 that they'd given us on that second deadline. So again, it's kind of common sense kind of stuff. It's just we have to assure them that we're not, when we gather information from them, whether they sign up for water or sewer, they give us a lot of personal information. Or same thing even when we take payments and stuff like that. Some businesses sell those things and make money. We've never done that. We never would. That's not what we try to do, and we've been very protective of that stuff through some of those grandma requests that we seem to be getting a lot of. And I think that's probably what generated this, is it's not just us that's getting hit with these things. And so we've always been careful about that, but we've never had a formal policy. And so that's what this was. Mr. Reichert had some amendments that he had suggested through an email. I don't know if you want to bring those up, Mike, and it just kind of cleans it up, and had added some clarifications in some of those. And I'm not opposed to any of those. Like I mentioned in that planning meeting, this came from another city. I think it's probably 2 or 3 cities, but this one has been vetted by the state, and we should be okay once we pass it. We just got to pass it. We'll post it on our webpage, and it applies to everything the city does. So even on our webpage, if there's stuff there, we protect people's information. That's the bottom line.
Comments?
Yeah, just some minor suggestions, and really, again, just very minor. In the purpose of the privacy notice, just changing where it says accessing the websites. I just kind of clarified and said in person or online, rather than identifying websites, indicating that we are not the city website doesn't. Nobody visiting the city website, they're not required to provide personal information. But I think the largest one on page, on the packet, that's going to be on page 44, the data security section. Previously it said it encrypts all ordering information, such as name and credit card number, to protect confidentiality. I would propose that we just refer to the PCI DSS, which is a standard for payment card industry data security standards. So basically say we secure all data and comply with the PCI DSS security standards there, rather than just a generic. Other than that, very minor suggestions.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments or questions? Any changes to that?
And I have a copy that include Mr. Richter's, those same changes that he just talked about there, that we would just attach it to the same ordinance, or it's a resolution or it's a policy. So we can include that as is if you want that, or if you want it to leave it the way it is. Either way, we just need it in place and we can move from there. So.
Okay. Councilor Arnold.
I'd move to approve resolution 24-3 with Councilor Richter's changes, which you say you do have,
Yes.
okay, incorporated within them.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any discussion on that motion? Ms. Maragoni, will you please poll the council?
Councilor Richter?
Yes.
Councilor Stevens?
Yes.
Councilor Halls?
Yes.
Councilor Hanson?
Yes.
Councilor Arnold?
Yes.
Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move on to item number 2, consideration of resolution 2024-04, amending the Riverdale City Personnel Policy, Chapter 2, Employee Classifications, and Chapter 4, Employment Status. Mr. Brooks.
Thank you. These are changes requested by Stacy Como, our HR director. Again, it's mainly housekeeping matters and just keeping us in compliance with state code. There are things in our policy like we didn't distinguish between full-time, non-appointed versus appointed employees, and depending on which class they fall in, some of them are entitled to due process rights. And so we had to clarify that because we didn't want everybody thinking they have those, because they don't all under our policy. So that's kind of what it is. We're just cleaning things up. We included a couple of state code sections that she had in there, and the reason we did that was to show you where we made those changes and how it applies. There's also a paragraph in there about disciplinary probation. This is one of those ones that we've really needed in there. We've never had it because we didn't really address it, and we just treated everybody the same. But there's been a situation where we've had an employee, but rather than keep them on the 3-month probation, we might extend it. And so we just wanted to make sure that was all clarified in there. That could go up to even a year now. So we didn't have that in there. So all these are just little minor changes like that, just cleaning things up and bringing our policy in compliance with state code.
Any questions or comments on that resolution? Councilor Arnold.
Move to approve resolution 2024-04 as stated within the packet.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Ms. Maragoni, will you please poll the council?
Councilor Stevens?
Yes.
Councilor Halls?
Yes.
Councilor Arnold?
Yes.
Councilor Richter?
Yes.
Councilor Hanson?
Yes.
All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I told Stacy that if I got asked questions tonight, I wasn't going to be too happy with her because she never gets asked any questions. So
Yeah. Wish we would have known that.
that's why I waited till after. So
All right. Item number 3, consideration of ordinance 978 approving proposed code edition of Title 10, Chapter 13, Article 1, Airport Overlay Zone and Airport Area Special Regulations. Ordinance to be added to the Riverdale City Code as requested by the Community Development Department and required by the state of Utah. Mr. Brooks.
yeah, this, as I explained in the pre-planning meeting, the state now requires us to have in our plan, and when we did our plan, we included this because we knew this was coming. We are required to have an airport overlay zone as part of our zoning package, and that's what this is. Basically, it doesn't change a whole lot of things. There is some stuff we have obligations now to notify any developer that comes into those areas that this applies, and there are certain conditions and things that they can and cannot do, and those are set forth in the Code of Federal Regulations that we had referenced in here. It's just common sense kind of things, you got to be careful what you're putting in there, certain height restrictions and all that kind of stuff, and you have to also notify the airport even on these kind of things. So it's not a huge thing, but it is required, and we really have no choice but to get it in. Again, we have a deadline. It is a state mandate. So that's what it is. This was Mike's last hurrah before he left us.
This is a
Counselor
rhetorical
Steen.
question. Could this impact the homeowner's insurance if you're in that zone? I'm just thinking, we're talking about, limiting some development. But if you're inside that zone and you've got homeowners insurance that puts up, sees a potential risk,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, that thought came to me.
I mean, I guess insurance companies could use that, but where it's just now being passed, I don't know. It'd be a tough argument for them to increase it on that reasoning. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, they just set the standard out there and said, this is the footage that you use. And so I'd be surprised if it did, Bart, to be honest with you. But
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Arnold?
Is anybody grandfathered into this? I mean, if they've
It-
presented an application or
as with
anything?
any law, it would be, if they've already been passed, they would be okay. But anything from tonight on, if it comes in new, it's going to
Has to
apply
be
to it.
passed.
Yeah.
It's not something we've turned down or.
Right, and so the Panera thing, where nothing's been approved there, if something eventually did get approved, it would fall under this statute now because this will be in place.
Panera or
Not Panera,
Purin.
Purin, yeah. I've had Panera on my mind all week because we've been dealing with that stuff, so I apologize.
I'm like, dang, that's a big zone.
I know, I was like, I don't think they're in the zone. Councilor Arnold? Or did you make a motion? Okay, Councilor Arnold?
Oh, I thought. Move to approve ordinance 978 as stated within the packet.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
It dies.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Ms. Maragoni, will you please poll the council?
Counselor Richter,
Yes.
Counselor Haas,
Yes.
Counselor Arnold,
Yes.
Counselor Hanson,
Yes.
Counselor Stevens.
Yes.
All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move on to item number 4, discussion and possible action regarding 1500 West Road Project. Mr. Brooks.
This sounds worse than it is. Basically, I just need to make sure you guys are okay with us expanding that road up there on the west bench. It's going to have to be done, and it is a city-owned road, so I needed to bring that in before the city council. The plans are right now is we'd be looking at a double left turn, a straight lane, and maybe even 2 right lanes right there. So to do that, that road's going to have, the whole intersection is going to be changed a little bit, but especially everything on that north side from Riverdale Road. So
North side?
from Riverdale Road, yeah. All that to get,
I mean, the new intersection that we just completed for Maverick to go in
right.
is
That
going to be
from
redone to
right.
accommodate this.
It's going to be widened. They're going to have to widen that all the way up to the roundabout that's going in. And see, again, as soon as it gets warm, they're working on that right now. They're ready to roll. So that intersection is going to go in really fast, and we'll have to move pretty quickly on that road as well. So I just want to make sure you guys are okay. I don't think that would be that you would oppose that. There wouldn't be any reason for us to, but I wanted to make sure before we continue to negotiate that stuff. And America First is well aware of it. It's all been engineered. It's ready to go. So
Have they even deeded the road to us? The new one that they created that we're going to, I mean, it hasn't even been driven on,
no,
and we're going to widen that thing?
not the new one. It'll be from Maverick to the roundabout. That's where it's going to be widened.
Right.
But they will still have to deed the rest of the road to us.
There's a roundabout on this end of the new road. On the
It's
south
not done
end.
yet.
Oh, okay.
Right up by the Tesla, where the Tesla is, there'll be a roundabout up there.
Oh, yeah.
So from Riverdale Road to the roundabout by Tesla,
Yeah, pretty sure.
that's all going to have to be
Good
widened.
Lord. Just do
Yeah.
it.
Oh, no. But you're right, though. They still, they haven't deeded that road to us. So, but they haven't officially opened it yet. So, but that will all happen when the weather gets warm. So we're not very far from that.
Okay.
Good questions. Yep.
So I'm assuming we're okay on that. Nobody's going to object to that. But obviously we won't. We don't want to buy land or anything, but we would agree to that widening is our intent. So
Okay. Do we need a consensus or something?
it would be nice if we
Yeah,
did.
let's just
so
get a
I had it on
consensus.
record.
Oh, go
Okay,
ahead.
you've said they've
Question?
done the engineering, so the construction all the work is already in place? I mean, the city is not bidding out anything.
No.
for this.
No, they brought in their own traffic engineers and everything, and they've been working with UDOT on exactly how that's going to be finalized. But we do know it's got to be wider. There's no question about that.
So we just have, our only obligation is potentially the financial part of it.
I don't know that we even have that much financial obligation on that. I mean, they haven't come to us on that yet, but if they did, obviously I'd have to come back on that. But
So what are we voting on?
just that will allow that road to be widened, because it is our road and it's going to increase in size. So I got to make sure you guys are okay with that.
At this point, they haven't, we haven't said that they could do anything
Right.
to that portion
Right.
of the road. Everything else that they're doing
We have.
further north
Correct.
is what we've already agreed to.
Correct.
And now you're asking to make sure that we know
Right.
that something might happen with that
Right.
piece. Okay.
Yeah. Not a major deal. It's
And
just
I don't
pretty
think it
minor.
actually includes the intersection right at Riverdale Road. It's
No.
more where they haven't widened that.
Their
for you.
plan is not to change the intersection
Yeah.
itself. They'll change some of the lighting there,
Yeah.
but they'll need the multiple lanes to move that traffic in and out of there easier. So, and it's when the first building opens, even the first couple of buildings, I think it could probably handle it as is right now. But we want to do it now rather than wait till later, because when those other ones come in, then we're going to need that extra space to shuffle them in and out of there a lot more.
Okay. Everybody okay with that? Yep, I'm seeing head shakes, thumbs up. So, Councillor Hanson, I assume you're okay too. We've already got 4 people, but anyway, what's that? Okay.
I'm on board.
All right, cool. Okay, very good. We'll now move on to the comments section of our meeting. Any comments from the city council for this meeting?
Who did Councilor Arnold take the water to? Because that's not part of the
Seniors. Probably
The Bonneville group
we
probably.
wanna go back to
is
that.
my guess.
Okay. Are you here as part of the Bonneville seniors? Okay. Maybe we got our wires crossed a little bit, it appears, 'cause the meeting started at 6.
Yeah, they kind of threw it on me last minute and I was at practice, so,
All right.
yeah.
Well, are we okay to go back, I guess?
It's kind of the discretion of the chair if you wanted to open that back up, as long as there wasn't any objections to it.
Okay. Let's see. So we are done with the action items. So before we go into the comments, we will go back to section E. Now that we have our Bonneville High School senior here, and we will have her give her presentation. Come on up to the microphone. State your name and city that you live in, and make sure that button is pushed up. I think it is.
Is it good?
It's up, yeah.
It's good.
Okay. Sorry, I just got sick last weekend, so. So, I'm Avery Bird, and I'm the SBO president at Bonneville High School, and I just moved to Riverdale, actually, last month, so. I'm just here on behalf of our senior class officers, and I'll just read the first part of this letter because it gives out all the information. It says, Bonneville High School PTSA is in the process of planning a party to celebrate the upcoming graduation of our 2024 senior class. The graduation party will be held at the Junction and provides our students with a safe and drug-free, alcohol-free activity on the evening of their graduation. And we're just going around to all the city councils in hopes of getting some sort of donation to help this party to allow our seniors have a safe environment to go after our graduation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions for Ms. Bird?
And then I can just leave this with you guys.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks for the water.
All right. We'll now move on to our comment section of the agenda. First, we'll start with City Council. Any comments for this meeting? Seeing none, we'll move on to City Staff. Any comments for this meeting?
Nothing really more other than, Casey and I had that conversation earlier this week, and it's kind of fascinating when you hear that and you realize that little kidnapping incident that took place here in Riverdale is so unique that, and they're concerned because this one in a way helped us that it helped us and hurt us that it was, foreigners and stuff, but they're afraid that that's going to become more and more common domestically here. And so it's kind of a hot topic. I don't, Waldo, did you want to add anything into that? So it's kind of fascinating when you hear the whole story. And
So yeah, we
went.
actually received several agencies that reached out to us, including internationally. UK called us about an incident that they had that was similar. This is very new to us, and that's why ICAC called us and asked us to present it to them. And like I said, our two detectives we had the lead detective and the Detective Lovato. He was also part of the investigation, and they did a great job to the point where ICAC had reached out to their national conference that they hold every year, and they invited those two to go down and present it. So that, I mean, apparently they learned really great. One thing that I was very proud of that we ended up doing is we didn't stop till we found them. A lot of agencies, and I don't know how they would have done, but it's kind of one thing that we did is we did not stop. They got little to no sleep until that kid was found. So I'm really proud of them. And I'm actually, a week later is when I kind of went and became their supervisor. So I missed out on all that stuff. But we had our own stuff that happened that following week. So like I said, they worked hard and they keep on going. So I'm really proud of them. So.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that is quite an honor when you think about those guys. You know, they'll say these guys are from Riverdale, Utah, and people are like, "Where's that?" You know, and it's just a little town in Utah. And it's a pretty big stage you guys are on, so we appreciate you representing so well.
That's all I had, Mayor.
All right. Seeing no other comments, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All right, we're adjourned. Okay. We'll now move into our Riverdale City RDA Board meeting for Tuesday, February 20th, 2024. Please let the record show that all board members are present, with Board Member Hanson joining us via telephone. We also have members of the public as well as members of the city staff with us tonight. We'll open it up now for some public comment. This is an opportunity to address the Riverdale Redevelopment Agency regarding your concerns or ideas. Please try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. And if you do come to the microphone, please state your name and the city in which you reside. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next section. There are no presentations or reports or consent items. We'll move on to action items. Number 1, discussion and action regarding funding disbursements for the 550 West RDA area. Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Mayor. We sent out just this afternoon a monthly financial. I only sent you one page, and it's kind of a summary on all the RDAs and where we sit financially on that. I have a full report if anybody wants that. Cody had generated this thing. I noticed the date on that was February 28th. I don't think we're there yet, but that full report was about 36 pages, and I don't think it told you anything more, just more in-depth breakdown other than that first page. So what we're doing here, this, just to refresh your memories, back in, I think it was July of last summer, we came in and we did a budget allotment. We moved some money around, is what we did, to help fund this project there. The little road we're trying to punch in behind Shake Shack and the old John Paris building, and then connecting into D. Hanson's piece there on the corner. We moved those funds. You guys approved that last summer, so we're not really doing anything different other than you were a little bit concerned at that point on what we were going to do with it. And so I told you we wouldn't go forward with any commitments on any funding until we came back in. And so that's kind of what we're doing on this. We need to, the individuals who are looking at moving into the John Paris location are ready to go, and they want to get moving on it, but they want to make sure they get a commitment from the city that we will contribute to both what we would use RDA funds normally for in this situation would be demolition of buildings, is one that we've commonly used. We had told Katrubis at the time that we would give them some, but then we ended up in the lawsuit, and that's kind of been on hold. But that's still kind of part of the plan, is that we would help them out a little bit on that. And so I've asked Mr. Hanson to show up tonight because he's been working this a lot harder. has got more details on some of those costs and different things, but we would like to start moving forward at least on that part of it. Now, we're not going to spend all of that money that's sitting there right now, but we do want to, at least half of that could probably go out now or close to it. I don't think we would spend it all right now, but we could get a good start on this and at least get that property ready to develop. Once those buildings are down, and then as it looks right now, it'd probably be Panera that would come in there. Panera Breads, I believe they're called. If you've eaten at one of those, they're excited to be here and they want to get moving, but they don't want to sink any more money into that until they know the city's committed to helping on that project. Since that time, when we've discussed all this with you, we didn't see an additional obligation that UDOT has placed on us, and so that's another reason is I want to free up some of that money to pay for that island that we got to put out there at the intersection. We've met with them numerous times, and we've discussed, we begged, we pleaded, we've done everything we can, and they're just not backing off on it. They're going to make us put that in. Regardless, I think what will happen is they'll eliminate one of the left turn lanes right there, so there'll only be one instead of two, but they do want that island in there that will prohibit anybody from the intersection down to about, I don't remember where that was going. Was it to your road, D, or was it that far?
No, I think it's just to the edge of
Shake Shack's property? Okay. So it's not a real big one. One of our concerns is our police and fire were a little bit worried about that, in particular the fire department, because they on occasions have to go into that other side, and they are prohibited from doing that with that fire truck if they got to run over an island. So we tried to use that, and they're just not budging on it. But I did indicate to them that we do have a little bit of money there. It's not a huge expense. If that's something we can kind of factor into the demolition cost to get that done, mainly just get it done, is what we want to do, is to punch that at least through the Panera part. That'll be opened up and it'll connect in the back into Dee's property. But Mr. Henson, you want to maybe talk about some of the costs and different things that you've come across and where you're at?
Yeah, it's great to be here. D. Hanson, I was going to give him an old address, 2265 East Murray Holiday Road in Holiday. So this marks our 10-year anniversary on this project, 2024. And my aunt was the recorder here when we started it. So we've come a long way, but I think we're down, I keep saying we're down to the final steps. We keep chipping away on where we are, Maryland.
Maryland?
Yep. Yep. So we keep chipping away on kind of where we are as we remember, just to kind of refresh, and we started a couple of the objectives of the RDA is to bring new restaurants, new tenants in here, and we've accomplished that with all along there, or all new, whether it's to the area with, we have Krispy Kreme was new to the area, Cafe Rio moved from a different city, but new to, to Riverdale, and then Mobetta's, Raising Cane's, Shake Shack, and we have J-Dogs, and we're going to bring a new smoked taco, and then Panera. So it actually accomplished, at least from that standpoint, we did well there. The other part of it was the access, and that was a collaboration with, with the city, with UDOT, and all the property owners. We've gotten rid of 7 access points along Riverdale Road, and we are this close to finishing. That critical component or that critical connection is right in that backer. So, and speaking with Steve and kind of basically consistent what we've done all along, going way back when we tore down all those homes, is to have the RDA kind of head it up, to control the cost, control how it was going to happen, and to be in charge of that project. So rather than just turning it over to the developer or the tenant, and when Steve and I were talking, why don't we just go back and then we kind of control that? So we've been working with 3 different demo contractors to revisit those numbers. Construction costs, they peaked real high. Now they're kind of stabling off. There's actually work people in the demo, they need work. And so we're starting to see costs come down in some areas. So that's actually a good sign after such an increase over the last 3 or 4 years. So our proposal, we'd like to do is take back control over the demoing of that, of the Paris Furniture building. We've looked at it 4 or 5 different ways. We've looked at it, hey, could we just demo it enough? What would be the cost just for a drive aisle back there? It's about 25 feet. Then if you can envision that building, it's an 8-foot, they're panels, concrete panels. So you could do that. The challenge when we got into the structural engineering is how do you shore up the wall, rebuild it, and kind of stabilize it. At the end of the day, it's cheaper just to tear down the whole building. So trying to, be prudent with the funds, that the housing, You do it just for the connectivity to the housing, potential housing project back there, but it's actually cheaper just to tear the whole building down. So that was one avenue. We've got it bid both ways that way. One of the other areas and with the demo is let's just go out and cap it out in the street now. We can control when that happens, the timing of it. We can do it in conjunction with the median out in Riverdale Road if they make us do that, and then whatever happens on the Shake Shack. So that's kind of what Steve and I are working at doing, and I feel actually more confident that we can get that done quicker and save the city some money on that. And then it's that contribution. We call it a row, but I refer to it as kind of the drive aisle because it's only 24, 25 feet, so it's pretty narrow on that one. Then we would contribute to help shore up that back wall and share in the cost of doing that so we can make sure we're one step closer to getting that punch through. If we don't get this one done, I don't know what happens to the building. Panera doesn't own it, so then the landlord will just find something else in it. But we're close.
Do you as a developer have any leeway to approach UDOT about that medium or that?
Well, we do have a couple thoughts on that actually. So, yeah, the other side of our project now, looking back when I'm working with the Larry Miller Group and I'm part of the development back there, we've done one of the requests that Sean had asked us about the traffic on that. So we've done a traffic study to take in consideration everywhere from 500 by Ruby River, right? And then 550, all the access points. And really, there's not a lot that can be done. One of the things they talked about in the traffic study, Ryan Hells conducted it, was potential restriping of that intersection. And so we want to try to separate the median and try to have a different discussion with UDOT and kind of on the overall. All along, UDOT's done everything they said they've done on the access points, but this curveball with the median is just kind of out of left field. I mean, they've done everything. They've been phenomenal. They got rid of the median down by Krispy Kreme, but we've also got rid of access points. So I don't know why this median won't change much. It won't help.
You know, when I patronized Pep Boys when it was auto, and when they took it out, their sales almost doubled. And so it was like.
And did you realize that we got rid of one access point there too?
Yeah.
And still, we got rid of one, so that was a trade-off. So we got rid of one access into their driveway, and we got rid of that median so people could get in and flow there. It won't. Okay, so on the specifically for Panera, they wanted to get rid of the access completely, and I just said no because if you come around the back and the only access through my property, then if they stack in there, they stack out on the road. We need that other access point, and so it won't. I mean, it's you have to be. I mean, it's pretty hard to get all the way across there, and so it's not a real functional left-hand turn. There are times of the days you can do it, but our plan is to go back with UDOT, separate it out of this, let Panera get going, so we can have the building torn down and get that going. And then as we look to develop the other 12 acres, we find out what another plan would be and continue to talk about it. But the Panera shouldn't. In my opinion, and the traffic would support it doesn't really justify that, that median.
Just to clarify, so UDOT is trying to stop people from coming out of Panera and turn them left.
Yeah, that's right.
And people will do it.
Well,
And there are times they can do it too. They'll try it. There are times,
and then also possibly being on the other side of Riverdale Road and trying to get over to Panera, But the thing is,
Sean was mad. What is he? He was mad. What restaurant does he go to? Because he goes there and turns left into the shops on the west side. So it will impact not just the Panera. So it impacts those shops on the west side of Riverdale Road.
That's true. Del Taco. Or
That's right.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to get to Del Taco.
Can't get into it.
That's such a mess.
Panda Express, that would be.
Yeah, Councilor or Board Member Hawes had a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just wondering, so that little road or access behind the Starbucks up there, that's what you want to extend that all the way to
Brands
the
Way
road where next to Raising Cane's, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
And that's design, and there have been talks on that, and that's kind of the step we're working with that other property owner to that. I've spoken with their Shake Shack themselves, and they are in favor of it, so it's just a matter of, working through that. But that connectivity is good for property owners, it's good for tenants, it's good for the city. UDOT wants it. It's actually it's great for the whole area, the whole project on that.
So is this the lawsuit that's holding that up over the water line?
It's holding up that part of it, yeah. But what we're requesting today is to free up funds to finish the rest of it.
Oh, for your
Private property
7
issue.
feet?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other
We'll
comments?
just be patient and let you work it
I,
out.
I think once the lawsuit runs its course, which we're set in April, we'll have a little bit better idea on that, on how any of that's going to play out, and then hopefully we can get back to the table and see if we can get
Didn't we
in.
just belly up on that and say, okay, we'll do it? Why are they pushing it
No, as far as the road or
to the water line?
no, that's the agreement we had is that we would wait and see what the court said. So if the court says we have to do it or they have to do it, and so that's when we'll see what the judge says, and then we'll go from there.
Has it been presented?
Paperwork's been submitted, but it hasn't gone to hearing yet.
Okay.
So easy.
Any other questions or comments? So,
I would just need permission to free up some of that money so we can complete this part of it,
So
at least get
one
going.
question I would have is on the median. Isn't it illegal for UDOT to require? I mean,
No.
they're a state entity. To have a state entity or a city tax entity, that's what our money's for. So they're causing other monies.
They're putting it on the private developer. I did a Dutch Brothers. I did a little development out in Pleasant View just off the freeway, and my Dutch Brothers, the Dutch Bros, they call it. That's the name of it. They triggered it, and I had to put a median down 2,700, 1,500 feet, 1,200 feet. Yeah, from Maverick all the way to Rulon White. Permit?
All right.
Yeah, we've tried, Alan. We beat this thing. Mayor's been in numerous meetings. Mr. Hanson, myself, we beat this thing to death.
technically, they're putting the responsibility on the property owner, the developer,
That's right.
and we're going to help them out with that. That's good clarification, though.
It's a great, yeah.
Really
It's
good
not a
clarification.
requirement of the city. It's,
No,
it's
that's
of that private developer.
Okay.
That's a great clarification. So we just need to decide. You're looking for. Do we need a dollar amount or just
That might be good. What are you thinking, Dee?
how much money are we talking?
How
much do you need?
I think we could be upwards of close to $220,000, and that would be from the demo of the building. That would be going out to. We might need a little more to go out and tap off the water line. We got to get final bids back to tap that water line off, and the median to get those final bids out, and then help with the wall on that one. And I think that's honestly the kind of the low end. So if we have the contingency, but that's kind of where we're trying to push everything to to kind of make sure everything falls in.
That seems pretty reasonable out of the 600 we approved.
Yeah, and aren't we going to try and do the Shake Shack water line at the same time? When
Yes.
Yeah, and that was the other.
That's
reason
the whole
we thought
idea, yeah.
That's the
We
other
need to
reason we
move.
want to take it over, because if we have to go out there to do Shake Shack, we'll do Shake Shack, Panera, and put the meeting in. Then we can kind of control that. I will say what I learned on that, because of Riverdale Road and the higher expenses, they have that that cement that cures in 4 hours, that real fast curing. You have to do it at night. So when I was talking to the contractors, that's why these costs are so high, because it's such a busy road to the meetings and out there. So yeah, that's why we're just trying to just get the final bids down. The other problem you have in Riverdale Road, if you go out on the road and you hit that panel, one panel, they come in 8-foot sections. You can't just take a 1.5 section. So if it's barely on this one, two line, you got to take both of them out.
And the water line, they didn't move the water line when they widened Riverdale Road. So it's out in the road a
That's
ways.
right.
It's
That's
not,
the
a
problem.
lot of those water lines are usually close to the edge. This one's not. And so we've got to go out in there. Well, it's going to clearly take out one lane for sure, if
That's
not
right.
more.
One lane, at least one section, and then that's kind of where we're targeting to try to spend the money where it would be.
Okay.
Isn't it going to?
Mayor, I have a question on that.
Okay, go ahead, Board Member Hanson.
Sorry, I'm just not sure if I'm following. So are we saying we're going to use some of the RDA funds for 550 West to help tap off the water line for Panera, but we're making Shake Shack do it for themselves?
No, that's a good question, Annie, because we weren't really clear on that. when we did up this agenda for this packet, which was Thursday and was ready to go, I had a meeting set with Panera on Friday. We didn't have that until a little bit later on Friday. So that's one of the reasons we didn't get you a lot of stuff, because when I walked out of the meeting, I told Michelle, get the packet out, because we had met with them. I did discuss that issue with Panera, and walking out of that meeting, they understand that it's ultimately their responsibility. We just don't want to hold it up, and they know that it's going to cost some money. We indicated what we thought it was going to cost, and they didn't have a lot of heartburn over that. So I'm not anticipating that we're going to pay for that part of it. If we did, then it would probably only be fair that we ended up doing the other one as well. The thing is, we just got to time this right, because a lot of the costs in these projects is your manpower out there directing traffic and different things. We don't want to do that twice. UDOT doesn't want us to do it twice either. So whatever we do, we've got to, we would look at that option if that was our last choice, but in speaking with Mark Bailey, who's the contractor on Shake Shack, Mark knows that, and the agreement that we had when we backed off on this a little bit in the fall was because Mark had agreed to get Shake Shacks done. So our thought was, while he's there, let's just have him do both of them. So whatever we got to do, we want to do it at the same time. But at this point, I don't plan on paying for either one of those.
Okay, that helps. I just was concerned because a portion of this was the housing fund, and Dee kind of touched on that being able to help with the demo so the road can go through would benefit the housing in the area. But
That's correct.
we just want to be careful we're not spending it on
And
things that
really,
wouldn't benefit housing if that's where we pulled the money from.
I think we could save enough money on doing these together that may be something that the RDA considers, but we'll deal with that as it comes. We're probably at least a month out on that before we know, but one way or another, we got to get that done, and we'll do them at the same time. So.
Okay. Would this be just another consensus?
Yeah, because you've already approved the money. It's there. We could go forward with it. I just need to make sure. I told you last fall I'd get back to you, so that's where we're at.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Brooks? Seeing none, we would just need consensus that you're okay with this expenditure of an already budgeted item. So we've got two that are okay with it.
And we were talking 225, correct?
225, yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure we had that on record.
I thought he said 220, but 225 is fine.
Okay.
Okay. Board Member Hanson, you okay with that as well?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. It looks like that's unanimous on the consensus, so thank you very much. Thanks, Dee. Yeah.
And then just a final clarification. So what we want to do is present that to the landowner, and so then they can get a confirmation, because if Panera goes away, they won't tear it down. They won't give us the license to go on it. So that's why we want to make sure it's done, and this will help give them the confidence that they know they have a tenant that will stick with them and go.
So we could get like a vape shop, maybe a check cashing
Gun
place
range,
in there or something.
vape
Gun
shop,
range.
I don't know.
Strip club.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is great. This will help it, and then we'll follow up after if you have conversations, if you have questions on the other adjacent property, I can answer those questions.
Thanks. All right. Seeing no other items, we would need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All right. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
So what's this V shred you're doing? Or I was teasing you about the being on Survivor last time, but it's like V shred or.
It's my midlife crisis. I'm still battling through it.
Well, it's working well.
So the issue with on Homer on the Shake Shack, it's almost a little bit separate, because I took on